Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to another video, and this one's going to be all about Edwardian engines. So a huge thank you to whoever it was that suggested I do a video about Edwardian engines. I got a comment about this over Christmas, but I wasn't at home at the time, so I didn't get a chance to jot down who had sent in the comment. The point is though, it wasn't my idea, and if you can let me know who it was, I will maybe put it in the description or something. Either way, Edwardian engines, not something I've ever talked much about before. It's not even something I've ever really thought about before. So very briefly then, let's talk about the Edwardian era. So the Edwardian era started of course in 1901 following the death of Queen Victoria. Now she died towards the end of January, so technically the Edwardian era didn't start until then, but I'm going to consider 1901 to be part of the Edwardian era just to make things simple. And of course it was King Edward VII, I believe, who then took over the throne from Victoria. And he was a very fashionable guy apparently, and supposedly his fashion sense influenced the Edwardian era quite a bit. So that's something we'll have to look out for when we're taking a look at these Edwardian engines. Unfortunately though, King Edward did not survive for very long. It sounds as though he was quite an unhealthy guy with one or two unhealthy habits, and he actually died, I think, in May of 1910, so barely 10 years on the throne really, which is probably why you don't hear an awful lot about the Edwardian era. I mean, compared with the Victorian era, for example, which spanned many decades, this was a very short period of time. But it has been really interesting looking through my collection and finding out which engines are Edwardian. Like I say, it's not something I'd thought about before, so seeing, say, this or that engine and thinking, oh, Edwardian, is really interesting. So I hope you will find it interesting as well. The other thing is there were not many. In my entire collection, I think I found about 10 Edwardian engines, not that many. I've chosen 6 of them though, 6 of the ones that I think are probably my favourites, so I hope you'll enjoy them as well. For now though, let's get started. Let me show you the first engine, which I'm going to start up right now. So here we go. So here comes engine number 1 then, just running around the corner. One of my favourite engines actually from the Great Western, but up until today I never really thought of this as an Edwardian engine. But of course this is the 2800 class, or the 28XX if you like. And these were an early batch of 280 locomotives designed for the Great Western by George Jackson Churchward. The first of the class was introduced in 1903 for heavy freight work, and the remainder of the class followed over the next 15 years or so, so some of them weren't necessarily Edwardian. But never mind. During the mid-1940s, coal shortages caused 7 of the class to be converted for oil firing, and the product was a reclassified 4800. However, unforeseen costs caused the project to end shortly after beginning, and so oil-fired locomotives never really caught on in the UK. In total, 84 of the class were produced, and their eventual withdrawal took place over 7 years, the first being in 1958 and the final being in 1965. In total, 6 of them have been preserved, and even a couple of them are still in operation. So she is a lovely engine, as you can tell, and it seems to me that it's quite rare that you would find an engine as large as this, you know, from an era as early as the early 1900s. Most locos of that era were an awful lot smaller, so to see a large one like this is pretty cool, and so that's one of the main reasons I put this one in. Besides that though, obviously it's a very elegant design despite being a freight loco, so yeah, easy choice. Very nice. So I'm going to leave that one running then, and I will introduce the next engine to you. Okay, so loco number 2 is very different, as you can see here. So this is the Midland compound. This one is in an LMS livery. Back in the Edwardian times they would have been obviously in a Midland Railway livery, but it's the same engine, and at least it's in the same sort of colour anyway. So these are also known as the Midland Railway 1000 class, and these locomotives started life in 1902, so right at the beginning of the Edwardian era, when just 5 of the 3-cylinder compound locomotives were produced to the design of Samuel Johnson for passenger work. Richard Dealey came along and further developed the locomotives before they were eventually rebuilt by Henry Fowler, so they were chopped and changed quite a lot over the years. The class was very successful, and when the LMS was formed later on in 1923, the class was chosen to serve as the standard LMS Express locomotive. Very impressive given its age at the time. 45 of the 1000 class were built in total, followed by many, many LMS compound locomotives of the new design, which were essentially identical really, but today there's only one preserved, and that is number 1000, the very first. So she certainly gives it some. As you can see, this is a very basic Hornby Railroad loco actually, but I've always really enjoyed it for some reason. I had to fight to get it. I was looking for a maroon one for absolutely ages. Took me a good few months of solid searching to find one, and when I finally did, I suppose I enjoyed the loco all the more for the fight that it took to get it. So yeah, an old favourite, very much appreciate that one. Right, moving on. So on the inside line then, we have loco number 3, once again entirely different tank engine this time. It is known as the P-Class. And these were a relatively early class of 060 tank engines designed by Harry Wainwright for the SEC&R in 1909, so just at the end of the Edwardian period. They somewhat resemble the earlier Terriers of the LB&SCR, I'm sure you're familiar with those, and their design was in fact heavily inspired by them, although the P-Class never really proved to be quite as successful, and they never really came close to the expected tractive effort either. Because of this, the class was eventually just used for shunting and other similar lighter duties, despite being originally intended for passenger work, as the Terriers were, and as you can see, mine's doing passenger today. Only 8 of the class were produced over 2 years, 1909 and 1910, and very luckily 4 examples still exist in preservation today. So I think we can definitely agree that Edwardian locos are beautiful. Either that or I just happen to pick really nice ones. But to be honest with you, all of the Edwardian engines I found that I owned were really elegant. They were all lovely. So yeah, they're fantastic. So let's see. How are we doing so far? Let me know in the poll which of these 3 was your favourite, and then you can let me know in the comments at the end whether your favourite changed with the final 3 being revealed. So with that, I'm going to bring these to a stop so you can take a look at them, and I'll give you some close-ups. Let's try and get back to the front before that 2800 class gets there. Almost seems a shame to stop these when they're running so nicely, but I know some people enjoy getting to see them stationary, so let's bring the 2800 or the 28XX to a stop, and there she is up close for you. Yeah, splendid really, really lovely, even without lining in fact. I would never expect to like an engine such as that. Either way, whoa, let's bring the compound to a halt as well, and there you go, there's a bit of a close-up on her. As I say, yeah, just a railroad loco, nothing outstanding here, no awards to win, but still a lovely looking engine. I think it might not have detail, but it certainly has character, and I think that's what counts, isn't it? So yeah, that one is a superb loco. And here comes the lovely P-Class. This is a Hatton's P-Class, and when you see this one up close, yes, you can tell just what a beauty this one looks. I picked the grey version, although of course the SEC&R green would have been just as fitting. So there we have it, the first 3 engines of the day. I hope you enjoyed seeing those. I'm going to get these off now, pop them into some of the sidings, and then I'll get the next lot out for you. Alright, let's do it. Okay, next engine is approaching very, very quickly. As you can see, I think this is probably my favourite engine of the day. Absolutely love this one. This is, of course, the LB&SCR H1. And this gorgeous, gorgeous Atlantic was first introduced in 1905 to the design of D.E. Marsh. A total of only 5 were built for express passenger work, and these Atlantics and others like them really proved to be some of the first larger passenger locomotives of the 20th century. And they were said to be very successful and also pretty luxurious for the time. I mean, going back to probably the glamour of the Edwardian era, I suppose. Even though the superior Marsh H2 was introduced in 1911, the H1 still managed to survive well into the grouping era until 1944, when the first withdrawals took place. By this time, obviously much larger and more powerful and more efficient designs were taking on the bulk of the work, and by 1951 every member of the class had been withdrawn and scrapped, with no survivors. This example, the France, was the only member of the class to carry a name initially. Sorry, I don't know why I said that strangely. And this one was used to pull the train for the then French president during his second visit to the UK, which is pretty cool. So she is superb, as you can tell, and I always find this looks better going at speed for some reason. So I'll leave her running, might slow her down a little bit, just conscious of that motor really, don't want it burning out on me. And while she continues to run, I will introduce you to the next engine. Okay, next loco is approaching then. Again, this is another favourite of mine, but in my opinion, this doesn't quite beat the H1. So you'll have to let me know in the poll. Does this beat the H1? It is, of course, the Great Western City class, second Great Western loco of the day, also known as the GWR 3700 class. And these were built between 1902 and 1909, so all of these were truly Edwardian, a classic Edwardian design. And I suppose a lot of the styling on the loco is pretty conventional Edwardian as well, isn't it? And of course these were designed by George Jackson Churchward once again. So these were characterised by their bell-pair fireboxes with no domes, making them obviously very recognisable engines. One member of the class was reportedly the first to exceed 100 miles per hour, the first steam locomotive. That of course was City of Truro, which is one engine that still exists. It was the only member of the class that is preserved. However, that record was never actually officially proved. Some people say it was, some people say it wasn't. A lot of people have assured me that it's true, but I've never been made aware of any proof of that. So who knows, quite honestly, who knows, but it makes an interesting story. So whether or not this engine has a rightful claim as the first steam locomotive to reach 100 miles an hour, it doesn't really matter. They were certainly pretty fast, so I've tried to reflect that a little bit on the running speed today. And there is one more engine left to get out, so I will do that right now, and then you'll have seen all 6 Edwardian engines of the day. So, yep, bear with me, I will get that last one started. So the next engine is an amazing model. Once again, one of my favourites. There's been a lot of my favourites today. Maybe it turns out that I do quite like Edwardian engines. I think this is the latest loco in terms of the actual model's production date. This one came out just towards the end of last year, didn't it? It is, of course, the Hornby Peckett B2. Absolutely gorgeous, this one. The Peckett Class B2 was first introduced by Peckett & Sons in 1905, so once again, quintessential Edwardian. It was one of 3 variations of the Peckett B-Class, all of which were similar 060 saddle tank engines. In total, 40 of these were built over the following 26 years, so the design might have been Edwardian, but many of the engines were not. And they certainly weren't churning these out either, since no more than, I think, 4 were ever built in a single year, so the business wasn't booming, but they certainly managed to keep it going, didn't they? Now, Peckett & Sons mainly produced locomotives for collieries, ironworks or similar industrial premises. They continued to do this very successfully for many years, as I say. In 1961, a few years later, the company was taken over by the Reed Crane and Hoist Company, which also went bust before too long. And doesn't that look odd, next to the likes of the H1 over there? Yes, not a combination you'd usually expect, but still quite enjoyable to see nonetheless. So now that you have seen them all, don't forget to let me know down in the comments which your favourite one was, and also whether your favourite has changed between now and the first half of the video. Yeah, I think mine has to be the H1, if I'm going to be honest with you. The Peckett comes close, the City class comes close, in fact most of them come pretty close, the 2800 class comes close. But yeah, I think overall it's got to be that one. But generally speaking, they've all been great, haven't they? Definitely. This loco's been running a good 10 minutes now, this H1. Probably more. It just seems a good reliable runner, doesn't it? Yep, unwavering. Just like the City, that's a very quick engine. That's at 40, with 100 being max. That's pretty fast for 40. Well, thank you for your company today, folks. That was the first running session of the year, all done and dusted. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop it a like and consider subscribing. That really helps the channel out. But for the time being, once again, thanks for your company, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend.